Ghana is growing. That part is not controversial. GDP has expanded in recent years. The economy has rebounded from COVID-19 and macroeconomic shocks, and Ghana is now classified as a lower middle income country. So here is the harder question many households are quietly asking. If the economy is growing, why does life feel more expensive, more unstable, and more uncertain? This video is not about blaming anyone. It is not an argument against growth. It is about what Ghana's own data says when growth and poverty are placed side by side. Ghana's economy is growing. Poverty should be falling. Ghana's voluntary National Review on Sustainable Development Goals reports periods of positive real GDP growth following recent shocks. That statement is true, but it hides an assumption. GDP measures the size of the economy. It does not measure who earns income, how predictable that income is, or how exposed people are to shocks. Growth tells us how big the pie is. It does not tell us how many people can count on a slice. According to the VNR, monetary poverty has increased since 2020, reversing earlier declines. Beyond income, 41.3% of the population experiences multidimensional poverty, meaning deprivations in health, education, or living standards even when income is above the poverty line. This does not mean growth disappeared. It means growth was not strong or inclusive enough to protect households from rising prices and economic shocks. Consider Ya. Ya is 29 and lives in Tamale. She works, but her income comes from informal trading. Some weeks are good, some weeks are not. When food prices rise or transport cost increases, there's no cushion, no paid leave, no unemployment insurance. This matters because a large proportion of employed Ghanaians work in informal jobs, where income is unstable and protections are limited. Ya's situation is not a failure of effort. It is a predictable outcome of how Ghana's labor market is structured. A common reaction is to blame attitudes or productivity, but the VNR points elsewhere. Recent growth has been driven largely by capital-intensive sectors, including extractives and some services. These sectors increase national income, but they create relatively few stable jobs. Meanwhile, agriculture and informal services employ most people, yet remain exposed to climate shocks, price volatility, and low productivity. The result is growth without widespread income security. Another argument is that growth simply needs time to spread. Time helps, but the data shows persistent gaps. Multidimensional poverty is notably high, reaching a rate of 59%, with the burden particularly concentrated in the northern, Savannah, Northeast, and Upper East regions, compared to much lower rates in Greater Accra. These differences reflect infrastructure access, service delivery, market connectivity, and historical investment patterns. Growth does not erase these gaps by default. The most common response is create more jobs. The VNR shows why this is difficult. 19.7% of young people aged 15 to 24 are not in education, employment, or training. Barriers include skill mismatches, limited access to finance, low productivity, and infrastructure constraints. Job programs matter, but without structural change, they cannot absorb everyone who needs stable work. This story is not unique to Ghana. The VNR situates Ghana within wider pressures: rising debt service costs, climate vulnerability, and global price shocks. These pressures limit how much physical space governments have to cushion households. Growth under these conditions is real, but it is fragile. This video does not argue that growth is meaningless. It argues that growth alone is insufficient. It does not claim Ghana is failing. It suggests that success should be measured beyond GDP. If an economy can grow while vulnerability expands, then the real question is not whether growth exists. It is what kind of growth reduces risk rather than just raising averages. That is the conversation worth having. Share your thoughts in the comments.